In part 4 of this tutorial series, we will animate the power feedback panel and set up the logic that will trigger the animations at the desired times. Also, we will set up the level and stages UI. So let's go ahead and create the animation for our power arrow canvas panel thing. So to do that, we are going to create an animation that involves hiding the panel, and then what we can do is we can take that same animation and then just reverse it for the showing of the panel. So with our power canvas selected, we'll use the rect tool, and we'll open up our animator, our animation window. Let's bring this just down here, and then we'll just click create, and we can create a new folder here called animations, and we can call this hide. So then, with the arrow with the panel set up the way we want it when it's extended, just click the record, and then just drag it slightly, just so the just move it slightly so that it sets the anchor points and all of that, and then move here on the timeline to say something like, to 60, so 60 frames, 1 second, and then just drag and slide that all the way basically close to 0, and then you can just set both of these values to 0, and then disable the animation, so disable recording. And so now make sure preview is selected, and then as we drag along the timeline, we'll see the animation being played out like that. Great. So you'll see here we have our animator, and see where our here we go. So it's automatically generated our animation controller, so we'll need to set that up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to copy and paste this animation, and we're going to rename this show. So first of all, when the game starts, it's going to automatically start at entry and transition to hide, and then we are going to have a transition from hide to show, and then from show back to hide. So we're going to make a transition to show, and then make a transition back to hide. And our show is going to be -1 speed, which will make it go in reverse. And then we will need a parameter to trigger when we hide and when we show. So for that we will create a boolean, true or false, and we will just call that show. So when show is true, we show; when show is false, we hide. And we can set up that condition. So the condition for showing is when show is true, and then the condition to hide is when show is false. And in our animation, we just want to uncheck loop because we don't want the animation looping, essentially. So let's save our scene. So you can see here in our canvas here, we have reference to the power canvas. And in our script, we will need reference to the animator. So we can set that boolean and trigger the animation. So public animator arrow. You just say arrow animator. And then we can drag in that reference. And our burger, it's going to be, our animator will be on our power canvas. So we just drag that in like that. Now back to our script. We want to hide our as soon as we let go to slide our burger, we want to actually animate. We want to hide the power panel. So we say arrow animator dot set bool, and the name of our bool, which is case sensitive, is show, and we want to set that to false. Now we want to set our boolean to true. Now remember, in our animator, by default at the very start, we're automatically hiding it at the beginning, and then we're going to show, but we need to sorry, we're hiding at the beginning. We need then a condition for when we're going to show it, and then we've already just put in the condition of when we're going to hide it again. So this is the part where we need to set up the show condition for true. So this is the part where we are going to need to, we can just close this, where we're going to need to implement our lettuce detection. So what we'll need to do is give our salad a tag. So that when we detect our bun hitting our salad, we know that when the bun, because the bun is just going to say, oh, I hit something, and then check, is what I hit salad? Does it have the tag salad? So, because once our bun hits the salad, that's when we want to show our arrow panel and do a bunch of other stuff as well, enable controls, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to create a new script, and we're going to call this salad detector. We'll just go ahead and then attach our script to our bun top. And then we can just get rid of all of this. And we'll need a reference to the burger controller. We just call this burger. and we want a on collision enter. If collision dot collider dot tag equals salad, then we just call burger, and we'll need a method, and we can call this ready. So when our salad hits, so when our bun top hits the salad, it can tell the burger, hey, we are ready to go. Sorry, public void ready. Okay, ready. All right, simple as that. Don't forget to pass the reference. Not accessible. Might have to rebuild. Okay. Yep. So to build, I just press Control. What is it? Control Alt. What do I usually do? Control. So yeah, Control Shift B to build. Yeah. I just do it automatically. I didn't realize. I couldn't remember what the hotkey was, but anyway. So reference to the burger. Okay, got colliders on that. Salad has the salad. Doesn't have the salad tag. Salad needs to have the salad tag. And back to our burger controller. In here, this is where we're going to show. So arrow animator dot set bool, and we're going to set our show bool. Remember, it is case sensitive to true, like that. Now, there's a bit of an issue with this whole system at the moment, is that the bun top is going to be continuously colliding with the salad throughout the game, which means it would be continuously triggering this animation. You know, plus we want the player to only be able to slide the burger at the start of the game, but not until the burger has, you know, fallen and it's ready to go. And then we want to, because the thing is, the way that we're going to check to see if the burger is has stopped at its, or just in general to see if it has stopped, we're going to check its velocity to see if its velocity is below a very, you know, small number. And then we're going to check, is it on the end zone or is it not? If it's on the end zone, move on to the next stage. If it's not, reset the burger, or reset the burger. But the thing is that as soon as the burger lands on the ground, its velocity is already going to be low. It's going to be basically close to zero because it's waiting to be slid, or or to, you know, pushed. And so what will happen is that we don't want it to reset. We don't want it to check to see if the burger is still, and to check if the burger needs to be reset or whatever, until we know that the burger has already been pushed, has already been slid, and it's sliding, and then we check. Now, the way you could do that in like a very kind of simple way is you could say, well, let's, as soon as we let go and push our burger, let's start checking to see if it's, you know, if it's slowed down yet. But the problem is that what will happen is that even though we're using an impulse force, what can happen is that it isn't going to instantly, from when you let go, when you lift your finger off the screen, the time between you letting go of your finger off the screen, or even the time between when you call to add the force, it can still take a few frames, or even 1 or 2 or 3 frames before the burger actually reaches a velocity above the threshold. So what would happen is that every now and then, when you try to push your burger, it just instantly resets because it didn't pass the threshold, the velocity threshold before we checked to see if it is below the velocity threshold and whether we need to reset the burger. So to kind of help us with all this stuff, we're going to create a state kind of system. So it's almost like a Boolean. A Boolean can be either true or false, but the thing is that we need 3 different states. So we're going to have a falling state, so a state of when the burger is falling down into the starting position. We have a powering state, when the burger is sitting there waiting to be powered, and then we have a sliding state of the state of which when the burger is has been slid and it's going on its way. So with an enum, that allows us to have the burger in one of those 3 states rather than a Boolean, which would only allow you to have it in one of 2 states, true or false. So let's start off by declaring our enum. And our enum will be a public enum, and we can just call this state. And the states will be falling, powering, and sliding. And then we'll need a state. We have to declare a state variable, and then we can just call that state. Save that. Now at the very start, we need to initialize this. So state equals new state, and we just want to make sure that our state starts in a state of falling. State equals state dot falling. Okay, then down to our ready method, we want to remember how I was saying how ready from our salad detector is just going to keep getting called every time it gets a collision. We only ever want that. We only ever want to record the first collision that happens. So the way we can do that is we can check, okay, let's animate if our state is currently equal to state dot falling. Okay, so if we're currently falling, and then so if we hit the lattice and we are currently falling, then that's fine. That can count this as the first time. But then as soon as we've hit the lattice and called this, we're going to switch our state. We're going to say state equals state dot powering, because now we're in our powering state. And so then now, when the salad detector, if the bun ever hits the salad again, it's going to call ready, and then it's going to check, are we falling? But no, we're now in a state of powering from the first time that we hit. So that just ensures that this will only ever be called once. and it'll only be called the first time. So now that we have our state set up, in our update, we will be setting our state to sliding here. State equals, so as soon as we lift up, state equals state dot sliding. That's all fine. And we only want to allow the user to have any kind of input if the state equals, if we're in a powering state, like that. And so then what we can do is just take everything and put it inside there. So as soon as the bun hits the lattice, we go into powering, which allows us to have input access. But then as soon as we let go, we switch to a sliding state, and then we no longer have input access. And we've hidden our arrow animator. So this pretty much consists of, I think, pretty sure everything that we need. If you want to collapse everything, Control M-O will collapse all of the methods. You can always expand them like that. That essentially just covers all of the functionality of our burger controller. So for our systems that involve checking to see if the burger has stopped and resetting and all of that will be done in our level manager script. But for now, if we run this, save, we should see our power panel will hide automatically at the start. And then once the burger hits the ground, the power panel will come out. We do our input, and then when we let go, the burger slides and the power panel hides. So it should, yeah, comes out hidden, it pops out, and then let's add some force, and then the power panel hides. So what we can do is we can actually speed up that animation a bit by going into our animation controller. I think that our hide animation can be a lot faster, and so can our show. Maybe show could be like -5, and our hide would be 10. So let's just see how that looks. That's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Yep. And if you notice, we don't, even though it's starting off showing, our hide speed is fast enough that it hides the panel before we see it come into view. Bang, pops out, and then hides like that. And then we're good. And you can see I can't do any more input because we're still in our sliding state. And so at this point, this is when our level manager is just going to be keeping an eye and watching our burger's velocity, and then it will be up to our level manager to decide when the burger has stopped and when the and to check if the burger is on the end zone, or whether the burger needs to be reset, or all of that kind of stuff. And something that you might notice about our burger is that if you just debug this, if you debug.log the rigid body velocity magnitude, you will notice that it still has a magnitude even when it appears to be completely still. we'll just make sure we're not debugging. We don't need to debug this anymore. Get rid of that. So what you'll notice is that in our console, or you can just, we'll see it down there, but it will look like it's still, right? But it still has a velocity. So you can see how we need that threshold to say, okay, basically anything above, 0.00, say 5, just to be safe. Anything below 0.005 would be considered, still. And anything over it would be considered moving. So the way that our game is going to be set up is that we're going to have a series of levels, and each level will consist of a series of stages. And so each stage within a level will include a specific location for the burger to start, and also a specific end collider. And we're going to have a UI element that is going to show the user's progression through the stages of the level. Now, if the burger is sliding and stops just anywhere other than the end goal, then the burger will just simply be reset. But if the burger slides off and falls down and hits our the floor, that will create like a floor collider, then the burger is reset, but all of the player's progress is reset back to the first stage. So they have to complete all the stages in the level without the burger falling off the platform to be able to progress to the next level. So let's start off by creating the UI for that. So we can actually enable this canvas that we made earlier, and where we attached a panel as a child. We created a panel, and then we applied our gray panel sprite. But for this canvas, we want to use world space, and if we just set our size to 0.1 by 0.1 and 0, 0, we should get pretty close. We'll just have to reset this. Okay, there we go. Now we can rescale this if we look in 2D view. Okay, let's make this bigger. And I believe it was, it was it 2000? No, sorry. What was it? What did we do for our burger canvas? Power. That was we set that to 2000. Okay. So the canvas was 100, but then our panel is 2000. Okay. Now we can see how that looks there. Oops, we want to scale this. And actually, while we're here, let's just set our camera clear flags to solid color, and we can just pick a maybe like a color like this. Maybe a bit more saturated, or yeah, so I reckon that's okay for color. And make this, I keep selecting the panel, make this canvas a bit smaller. Yep, that looks pretty good. And we'll just need to, we're going to have a custom font. So just in Google, you can search up Pinecone font on DaFont. And this is free to use with no restrictions or copyright. So just hit download on that. Extract here for Pinecone. And then we'll need to drag that into our project and create a folder called fonts. And then drag that in. And we'll need the Text Mesh Pro. Just make sure you have your the Text Mesh Pro package installed. Right. And then we'll need to go to Text Mesh Pro, Font Asset Creator, import TMP Essentials. Okay, and then we can drag our font into the font source and click Generate Font Atlas. Save, and we'll just save it in fonts. Now we can delete that. In fact, we can delete all of this. Don't need any of that anymore. Okay, so in this panel, we can just call this level canvas. And within our panel, we're going to have a Text Mesh Pro text. Set our anchor presets to stretch and zero it all off. And then let's drag in this font. Now this font only works in uppercase, so we select uppercase only. And we can call this level 1. And set our vertex color to black. Oh, and auto size. I'm not sure. Why I can't see it. Why can't I see it? Oh, geez. Okay, that's interesting. We'll need to reduce our minimum size. Actually, you know what we will do is our level canvas. You know what we'll do? We'll just rename this canvas and we will set this just to overlay. And we can just call this level panel. And then just fit it like that. So now if you look at our game here, we can set our max, set our min to 1 and our max to like 1000 or whatever. oops. Just need to set up our anchors. Okay, and then let's move this here. See, we should be able to, if we set this to 1, and then set our canvas, sorry, our reference down to 15. Okay, that's the default. Sorry, which is what we want. Let's change our text color to maybe like, oh, we can set that to white. And this, let's see, let's move this like, that's a pretty good kind of size in terms of that. Just for our text, this is going to be a little bit, we're going to make this smaller. Something like that. Make sure our text is centered here and here. And we'll set text. Set our anchors to say, oh no, say like 30% here and 30%, sorry, 60, what was it? Sorry, 70% here, or 30%. So this will be 0.7, and this will be 0.3. Zero that off. You know, it could be a bit bigger. Let's try 0.2 and then 0.8. Yeah. Yep. We'll just have to make our panel a bit taller. Right. And then we need to set up our stars. So what we'll do is we will create another panel to hold our stars, and just make this completely transparent. And then we're going, let's actually just set that up first, set up our panel. So our panel is going to sit underneath. Whoop. It's going to sit underneath like that. That anchors like this, and the anchors will be the same, 0.2, 0.8. You can just leave that as is for the Y, min and max. Yeah, that's fine. And then within our panel, we're going to have three stars. You know, I mean, you could have levels that have 5 stars or 2, or just 1, or whatever you want. But I'm just going to go with 3. So we need 3 images. Zero that all off so it fits. Select our sprite and give it our star, and we want to preserve aspect on that. Yep. And then if we want to set, everything is fine except our X max needs to be 0.33. 0.33, and we can call this star 1 and duplicate that, copy, paste that there, 0.66. Call that star2. And then call this one star3, 0.66 to 1. Okay, so now we have our 3 stars all in a row. Once again, I'm not really, honestly, the thing is I'm not that happy about the border here of this star. There's a bit too much spacing there, so we're going to change this to multiple, apply Sprite Editor, and let's just set up our own size. So let's just set 64 by 64. So we want, what's that? What's centered? Position. Actually, I think it's how big is this one? It's 100 by 100. So 50. That's not the. What is the? I'm not really sure actually. What is it? 25, 25. Yeah, so 25, 25. That's the center. That's the dead center. And then we can make it like 75. What is this? Oh, okay. So what does that have to be, like 35 by 35 or something? Or sorry, I mean yeah, 35 by 35 or oh well, we can just. What is this? What is? How does this even work? I'm very confused. Okay, so what, 19 by 19? So 17, 17? Alright, well let's make this 70 by 70. I can just do it by eye, that's fine. That looks pretty centered with the top. Yeah, that looks good enough. Alright, let's apply that. And for all 3 of our stars, we'll need to drag on the new star. Okay, there we go. That fits a little better. Feel though, actually, we could probably make it a bit more spacing. Maybe 80 by 80. Yeah, let's try applying that. Okay, that looks good. I am pretty happy with that. In terms of this, what I might actually do is just bring that in a bit. I think just slightly, so more like 0.95. Oh, sorry, I've done the wrong one again. Here, text. 0.75 and bring that in by 0.25. Yeah, that looks a bit better. And by default, all of our stars are going to be just like darker because they're like hollowed out to kind of create that sort of effect. I'm pretty happy with that look. We can close this, and then let's find our cube surface, and then there we go. Then we can hit save on that. So, two other objects we'll need to make is we'll need a cube, which will act as our end, and we'll need a sphere, which will act as our spawn. We'll call this spawn 1 and end 1. Now spawn sphere, we'll remove the collider because we're just going to be using the transform position, and end will be ticked as trigger. Let's save that. So let's go to the scene and let's start with our spawn. We can make that maybe, doesn't need to be that big. I know the size, if it was the same size as the burger when it is fully collapsed, I would say it'd be more like that kind of size. And we're just going to see if we, whoops, Y position. So this is where the burger will spawn. So we just move that just slightly outside of, I keep doing the scale, just slightly outside of view, like there. That's fine. And for our end piece, wherever that is, here, let's get out of 2D mode. Let's bring that up. Actually, let's scale this. We'll just have a Z scale of 1. And actually, our main camera, let's switch it back to 3 degrees. Yeah, that's the correct angle. So we get more of a lip there. I don't know why that lip was more accentuated before. Not really sure why, but now that's been corrected. We've got our cube here, as we can see. Now for our cube, the actual size of it will be 0.1, I think, or maybe no, less than that, like 0.01. Yeah, because we're going to create a material for this. And the idea is that when the player touches it, it will like light up, so the player knows that they are touching it. So let's, oops, sorry, I meant to create a new folder called materials. Materials. And create a material, and we can just call this we can call this end, and we're going to be using an unlit color. And for the color, we're going to be using like a very kind of very light green. And then once they highlight it, we'll make it very saturated, kind of bright green. For now, you can just drag this on. You can see how that looks. And if we just move that down, the idea is that the green is like pretty much just the size of this lip sort of thing. We don't want it too big. We don't want it to look like it's something that is going to be an obstacle. And if you want to, you can actually line it up on the y-axis perfectly just by holding V and vertex snapping, and then just slide it along, and that should fit well. And then if you see here with the color, that's going to be like the color when it's activated, and it's going to be like this sort of color when it's not. Maybe even like slightly less saturated, like that. Okay. So we have our end, we have our spawn, we have our stars. So let's create our level manager. So in our scripts, create C# script, level manager. And then let's open that up.